Hey people, about 10,000 years ago, Mother Nature decided it was a real good idea for all your Yankee kinfolk to come down and visit you in Miami about this time of the year. This ancient tradition, we can read all about it in the Old Testament Bible. It can't be denied when you see it in all the language that this has been going on. But they come knock on the door, and the first thing they want to do, they all want to kiss your baby. Everybody wants to kiss your new baby. And this baby, although this baby can't speak, he's got something going on in his mind. And he's naming you, and he's stashing you away in a file in his mind. And it's in this word, they call it the one acting of next of kin, but just read this, AG is on. And this is a CHIS, unkissed. Unkissed who want as. All those grown-ups, they all want to kiss on me. Unkissed who want as to aim, coming at me. And you know what this is about. It's Joshua 20, and it's a real short one, 9 lines. And it plainly says the kids in here, the KEDES, the kiddies in. And Kadesh, that's your most holy things in the Hebrew. And so it gives a little more information here. Here you see the kids twice, the QDS. The QDS, and they'll say that's your most holy things, and it's where your cods, your avocados, and where it's also, the come after through, how you keep life going on, to come after through your cods, came your kids, to carry on. But this is also where your wickeds come from, the wickeds. And wickeds are them dirty little rugrats, anywhere from 1 to 10 years old, when they just dirty little rugrats. You sleep in Saturday morning, by the time you wake up, they done brought creatures in from outside, trying to feed them on your kitchen floor. Got the kitchen sink piled up with dishes already. And wickeds, what kids? In the galley, GLY, is a galley, and laver, LVER, the galley sink. And the wickeds, what kids in galley, laver, nuptially, and they'll say this is wrestled. And she named him nuptially because he wrestled. And nuptially, imagine that this bowl full of spoons is over here, and you want to slide another plate in there. Before you had to do the dishes, you want to stack a couple more around there, and you would get all nuptially. Hey, before you go sliding that thing in on me, nuptial, before you get nuptial with me, we're going to get a prenup. To slide it in nuptially. And to married up, what's the cumber of rim. And so that's stacking your dishes, and the wickeds, what the kids in the galley laver, in the kitchen sink, has married up. What's a cumber? Cumber is a pile of shit. A cumber is something, a pile of logs in the way, something that would be a problem. What's a cumber? How in the hell did they get them stacked that high? What's a cumber of rim? Hanging way above the rim. And what to crit? And the critter in, the AR, the critter in, and a OE, the E reads as a odal, a vav, and the critter in of, and then the Ya reads as also a vav. The critter of which you brung in, arrive, ERIEVD. It plainly says, you wicked little bastard kids, in the galley laver, and nuptially done married up. What's a cumber? In the mountain is a cumber, is a pile of shit of rim. And what a crit, QRIT, what a critter. And what a critter in of what you brung in. The B reading as an N. What you BRUN, what you brung in, arrived. It got here, ERIEVD, arrived by you, you rotten little rugrats. And so this is written like this. This is just It's one paragraph here. It's a ode, and this is the strophe here. And then this second part here, this is the apode, and that's what we just read is the beginning of the apode, is the wickeds, what kids in the galley laver, nuptially what succumber of rim, and what the critter in of which brung in arrived. And then the E reading with this U here. In whom over lured in. And they'll say that's from over the river Jordan. But it's from whomever lured in Jericho. And Jericho is the ancient, most oldest city in the world. They say the most oldest city of the Bible. And that's where the word comes from. It comes from Jerry, as in old folks, and Rico meaning rich, the old rich folks. So first it was talking about the baby here, and now it starts talking about the old rich folks. And that's what them old rich folks do. And in whom over Lord in. Usually the Jordan is E Jordan, and it's heard in, and it's from whom over heard in. But this is the rich folks, and from whom over Lord in a Jericho, the old richums richie, the old richums MZRH, old richums richie, a rich in share. Oh, come on, baby, I got some candy, I got some money in share. So that's the ancient symbol of the Catholic Church, the Chiro, the XR. And most of the time in the Hebrew, they say it's your enemy. And they put it in the same class as Satan, the adversary, the narrow. But what it is here, when you're reading it backwards, it's the rich, the RX, the rich. And the rich in share. It's an ancient symbol of the government taxing you, They take from the rich and give to the poor and put 90% in their own pocket. They have to do this. If they don't, we'll have too much time to sit around and think. We'll become too intelligent to be governed. We won't be governable. They'll have to wipe us all out again. But this continue from Lord in the Jericho, the old richums richie, continue what in share. A bummed of her bum is. Hell yeah, Grandma, I'll take that money. A bummed of her bum is her. Mithra, the Mithra of in. And so Mithra is the most ancient, it's the old Jesus, it's the old light God. Ra, the son of in, this is the first son, and the Mithra of in. Mithra, Iranian sun god. They'd sometime wore a war bonnet, the red bonnet. And whom of her Lord in a Jerry old comes rich continue. At in share a bummed of her bumser, a Mithra of in. And what ramped in glad. That's the old folks. Well, sure, I'm glad that you got a ramp. I don't have to climb up them steps. That would be a shame, a derogatory name for the old folks. Ramper, to crawl, to climb, scale up, wrinkle, rumple. And what it tells me about the language, is it was an inclined surface at first, designed to help the old folks. They always used the ramp, and that's what they got called, the ramps. That was their shame, their name. And what ramped, R-A-M-T, what ramped in glad, mittage, double M reading as a M-I, mit with, or admittance, to let me in, a mittage, E-G-D, I was allowed in, a mittage, what, a glowing. And this word wasn't here. This is just adding some later Bibles that weren't too sure how to write that. But what glowing of vision, wearing them big old thick glasses, The double B is a VISN, a vision, and MMT, with, and myth, with, immense, EMNSE, and big old thick glasses, with a glowing vision, mid immense, with thick. And so the reason they don't want you to be able to read this is because if you could read this, you could read the rest of the Bible. And it kind of messes up the story, because this whole story of Mithra and Jesus, if you go with the laws, the Hebrew laws of language, this is Lord God and Jesus said. So it doesn't fit the timeline with Joshua. But you look over here in the Greek, and you see Joshua, is spelled the exact same as Jesus. And that's your other symbol. You see in the Catholic Church, they'll say they both come from Jesus Christ, but actually it comes from here. It comes from yes. It was an ancient symbol long before their claim of Jesus, because it was Mithra. It's the symbol of love, and yes of, and love. And so even in the time of Joshua, Jesus was already a legend. And you'll see Joshua spelled 3 different ways here in the Old Testament. And they're all the same 3 as Jesus. This is the revelation of Jesus or Joshua. And it's this ancient story of and El, the gods of above, the El, the gods of heavens, Elise carry as too. Elise carry is not a permanent thing, they're always just temporary. And Elise carry as to yes of, the love of legend. And so the yes of, the love of legend was the same thing in Rome. It was the kids. The ancient story in Rome says, a big sinkhole opened up and all of Rome started sliding the sinkhole. The oracle come out and told the people, they were all scared. Said God said to throw your most valuable possessions in the sinkhole. They throwed all their silver and gold in, and it just kept swallowing the city. He told them, no, your kids are your most holy possession. Your kids, the Kodesh, the holy. And so one of the prominent sons had rode his steed off into the sinkhole, and it stopped. And the sinkhole was supposed to still be there a day with his statue. So this was the worldwide word, kids was the most holy in Hebrew, Greek, Latin. And it looks like a little different story here. It looks like you're bathing the kids in the kitchen sink, and distill it. And distill it in the kid is in the galley. And it's still the same thing. It's a L-A, and the Yah is a V, a Vav, a Lav. And the galley lavin, and the distill it in the kid is in the kitchen sink. Washing the kids in the kitchen sink. And the galley lavatoria. And so this, the Toria, this is coming from D-O-O-R, the door, and area, an area. And so it means this section is cut off, a doria, an ateria, the cafeteria. It's a closed-off section of a building. And so it's just making fun of using the kitchen for the bathroom, the galley lavatoria. And to nuptially was eachum into area to the frame. What in Poland? And so and after you bathe them kids, and to nuptially wrestle them in was each, the IX is this ICH, was eachum into, each one his own area to the frame, that's the frame, what in Poland, that's, the area where they've got a frame all pulled up into their little critter cages, and jam all them little heathen kids into their critter cages. The frame, what in Poland, and our book of this, teach ever of in, and read them a book till they go to sleep. Our book. They definitely want to leave that K off there, because you might figure out what an OK after a B means. And our book of this. This is coming from over here, THES, and it's of this, TICH, to teach ever of in, to teach ever of in Adoria, in that room, in the teach ever in Adoria, in the children's room, the teach ever in Adoria, to you would, like you apostrophe D, you would. And so I've been comparing these two languages, the Greek and the Hebrew Bible, for about 10 years, and I color code it and see how the language is put together, and you see a lot of it is just totally mirrored. It's the same language, and so it was never intended to be a translation. If you could read one, you could read the other. The whole idea was to work away from the old print, to get people to forget how to read the old print, so they slowly start changing. But this word they call in the mountains here, it's just a B-E-R, and the B is in, and the E is the, and the R is the only thing given mountains here. In the Hebrew, do bear shit in the woods, no bear in the bear, wherever he left his shit. And then you can see it in the Greek, the E-N is just replacing the B, and actually comes from the mark when you read it backwards. The N, the E follows the N, then it becomes the B, becomes the Ben. And the T-O replacing the E in the, and the area replacing the R, in Toria, in that closed off room. And sometimes that closed off room is in your heart, in Adoria. And the stillet is in kids in the galley lavan, or the lavas. The AE also reading is the S, so this is a VES, in the galley lavas, in the galley sinks. So it's more than one, it's a big operation taking care of a bunch of kids. Into the area to nuptially, wrestle them into their clothes and into their bed, into a nuptially, what's each 'em into a area to a frame, what in Poland. Our book of this teach ever of in Doria. Love to do your job. In Doria to you possibly D, you would love it. And when to peer on, key is a vav, a W, and when to peer on, to wired on, TOWIORD, to wired on of Jericho, to wired on of, you press this button, that light comes on, it's automatic. And when to peer on, to wired on of, it looks automatic. Jericho, the old folk company, more than one old folk, all the old folk in on it. The Jericho of, on it all on the dole, the dish out. The K before E reads as a L, the dole, what you were dealt. The dole of Hazard, in there come, in THERHM, as in THERE, almost E, but the H, this CHM, in there come, and so it's the same as the Hebrew was over there, to conning the kids with money and candy. And when to peer on, to wired on of the Jericho, and all the old folks, it seems like, of on it all on the dole in of has her. All can dish out, she has in there come, and they all come. Into peed, in the children. And so the I in Omega turns into an E. This is a P-E-D-E, the peedy, the children. Into peedy, or into peed, a hap, H-A-P-O-T-H-S, a hap of this fools. Into peed, a hap of this fools, a roving. A roving is when you're looking for food during a famine, you're out looking on the grounds for something to eat. What in ram it in? What in? So the ramp is now the rammet in the gal you dick this fool's god. What in a call of on? The N before the E reads as the V, and I believe this G is reading as a call, and a call is the foot, to actually go out. She came to see a what in gall of on, what in call of in the bassinetide, a bassinet, something you keep your baby in the bassinetity of this fool's is Manasseh. And I'm not going to go into what Manasseh means, because it would take me a day of reading before I felt pretty comfortable of it. It's not a word that I run into often. But all these words here, that are just names, this is the whole story of the Bible, isn't these names aren't names. They all have meanings. And so the entire story's been removed in the translation. And all the small little pieces of words that's jammed between all these names, they just mix them up and give them whatever meaning they want. Sometimes they give them a meaning, and sometimes they don't. And give them whatever meaning they have to make some type of story with all the mistranslated words. And I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.